Hey, everybody, and thanks for joining me on another episode of Straight Jacket White Rabbit. You guys, today's kind of a special episode. We're doing a World War III alert update. We're going to be talking about the pushing of this by religious communities at large and the One World Order agenda and what it has to do with this. Is the leader of the One World Order the Antichrist? Is he already here on this planet if you believe in such a person? A lot of world leaders are speculating that we are approaching very quickly the end times. Even the doomsday clock is further ahead than it's ever been here in the United States. We are closer to midnight than ever. Now, with everything going on around the world, I just wanted to give a quick update on this. You guys, we have the regime in Israel seeming to want to expand its borders again back to places it believes it has its rights to. And I'm not going to get into whether or not people have rights to these lands or not in this video, you guys. It's not the point. The point of this video is to show you the link to biblical prophecies and other prophecies. They're trying, and they have been, succeeding in taking back some of their land, here and there. Larger and larger portions, it would seem, if Palestine goes the way a lot of people think it's going to, which is going to be taken over by Israel. Now you have the regime in Iran being decimated by US and Israel. Just literally, I mean, they elect a new leader and we're blowing them up. And we've recently found out that, shocker, they've been lying about the distances that their ICBMs can reach. Now, a lot of people, especially people, and I understand this, you guys, I have family members who don't watch the news, who don't listen to history, who don't understand why certain things are this important. The reason Iran is so important right now, you guys, is because it is the linchpin that could set off World War III. It's not that Iran in and of itself is special in any way, shape, or form as far as, being, some holy ground that everyone's trying to go after or anything like this. They are the linchpin that can start the war to end all wars. And a lot of people believe that World War III will be the beginning of the end, the second coming of Christ in some people's circles. Some people also believe that this is when the four horsemen will come. Now, whether or not you're religious, it seems like, I've talked about this in my videos, you guys, it seems like the end is just getting closer. You can feel it. It's almost palpable. I mean, you can reach out and touch it almost. It's so solid right now. And what I want to break down for you real quick is, number one, why everyone's freaking out about Iran's missile range. Lots of people have missile ranges that could hit us and our partners throughout the world. We don't necessarily freak out about it. The problem is we're dealing with somebody, a leadership cast, who doesn't seem to care who they hurt. They fire at their local neighbors' countries. They fired at countries who so far have been benign, as far as I know, in this war. Military action, whatever you want to call it. Now, with the latest bombing of the island in the Indian Ocean that was a joint British-American airbase, I'm aware that one of the rockets failed about a mile from the island offshore, and another one was shot down. I understand this. But what a lot of people aren't grasping, the reason people are freaking out is because this now puts a large portion of our NATO allies within striking distance of Iran. If they decide to strike, let me be very clear. This will be the beginnings of World War III. or at least as close as you will ever want to see it. Because the positioning of Iran is neighbors practically with Russia and China. They're not going to let us militarily take over that country. We've seen what happens when America tries to install its own leaders there. They're rejected, and that outcome isn't good. If they bomb NATO allies, it is in the charter that we will all respond. An attack on one is attack on all. Now, the rules are very simple, though. You have to attack an actual NATO country, not their forces that are in another country. So just because they bombed an American base in Kuwait, let's say, does not mean that all the NATO allies are going to get involved. However, if you were to have a missile that was shot and hit Italy, Rome, London, any of the places, Paris, that we are NATO allies with, this would be catastrophic because they would all be immediately brought in by the War Act inside of NATO. We would, and like I said, an attack on one is an attack on all, and we would begin the systematic destruction of Iran. Depending on how bad it was of an attack and what kind of civilian casualties or military casualties we look at, wherever their missile would hit inside of our, we'll say our allies' territory, is obviously going to garner a bigger response. If you blow up schools or something, you're going to get a lot bigger response than if you blow up a missile silo on a military base. And this is the knife's edge that we're sitting on, because China and Russia, just like America would never allow them to build a base as close as Cuba, let's say, they are not going to allow us to control or establish a permanent military presence and leadership of our own choosing inside Iran. I do not believe that will ever happen. But it may not even have to happen because it may not go that route. The U.S. is already claiming that we have shortages of missiles and things. Israel has been reporting that for a while, that they're running low, critically low almost. Now, while Russia's been fighting a forever war with Ukraine, it's depleted its resources down a lot. So right now, I'm not very concerned about an attack from Russia in the World War. But the biggest threat's going to come from China. China is a country who has not only never stopped building up its missile arsenal, its ICBM arsenal, its military weapons in general, but they have a vastly larger capacity to draft into their military. The Chinese population is very much larger than our country. And they are a formidable adversary. We've already admitted that in the past when we faced them. But now you're talking about facing a country like that, possibly stepping into this war, when we deplete our munitions here in the United States every 10 or 15 years. We're bombing the tar out of somebody. Israel's been bombing people for years now. Like I said, Russia has been depleting their resources. Meanwhile, China is armed, stocked, and ready. They actually have overstock enough that they are selling openly and easily to other countries without so much as really depleting their stocks. They don't get into the forever war games. They don't get into the policing the world games like the American people do. We do try to police the world, and we do try to keep peace. I'm not saying every war we've ever gotten into is a just war, but I am saying that we are the ones who have to police the world as it stands right now, or decide to let it land where the chips may, I guess. But how many things have we already stopped as America? How many countries would have had dictators and violent despots take control? World War III seems like it's coming, you guys, and it seems like it's coming quick. A lot of biblical professors and laureates, I'll say, are claiming that there are a lot of the signs of the end times that have been popping up that people have not. They're not seeing it. They don't think it's when people, I'll give you a for instance, when people think about famine, the horsemen, they think about, oh my God, worldwide famine, no one can get food, everyone's starving to death. But that's not really specified. That's not necessarily what famine means. There's famine all over the world right now because of inflation or lack of jobs or homeless people who can't afford it. They've got to choose between, whether they're drug users and they have to choose between their habit and not. They choose their habit. Whether they're just unemployed and down on their luck and begging for money for food. People are having a hard time feeding their own families right now. Everyone in my house, for the most part, has two jobs, and we are struggling to keep bills paid and to keep, it's just constant outflow of money. Your kids need field trips, they need new clothes, you got to put gas in your car, you have insurance and bills and house payments and rent, and it goes on and on and on, and it builds up. And pretty soon, people are starting not to be able to afford even the basics. And then in countries like mine, where you have people abusing the system so that the systems are taken away or defunded. People are starving on the streets in America. We call ourselves the leader of the free world, but we have people and children who starve on our streets every day. This does not seem like a world on the rise. This seems like the beginning of the end. Now, whether or not you believe Iran is going to actually be the beginning of the World War III scenario, you have to admit that we're in a very precarious spot right now, you guys. There's only so many things we can do, and we cannot let a country that is full of people who openly tell us, we want Americans dead. We want that country to burn. And I'm aware there's morons in our country that'll say the same thing, but they're not, for the most part, leaders of our country. We don't want an entire country to burn. We might want dictators to burn. We might want certain leaders we don't like to burn. We may even want terrorists and people we consider terrorists to burn, even if they're not. If we consider them, they are. But there's an entire class of people in this country who want us dead. And the thing is, it's not the entire country. Everyone makes it sound like it is. It's not. The newer generations are starting to realize the freedoms that they lost back whenever this regime took over. Look at how the women acted and the men acted during the last regime and during this regime. It's night and day. Because the regime that took over was, to put it mildly, they were totalitarian. They were tyrants. They recently executed a 19-year-old Olympian wrestler for a protest. You can say a lot of bad things about our country. There's a lot of negatives about the U.S. that I can complain about even. I love this country to death. And anybody who watches my channel knows I do. I profess my love for this entire country, and I would die to defend it. But there are a lot of things that the leaders and ruling people in this country have done to it. The use of police to collect taxes and unfairly strip citizens of their constitutional, if not God-given rights. We claim to be the protectors, but we here in the United States can do a lot better. We can do a lot better by our own people. We can do a lot better by helping other people around the world. I agree with all of this, and I think that we should help other people. But let me be specific. I don't mean handouts. These other countries, a lot of them don't need handouts and money or large drops of medical supplies or food. Those are band-aids. They're not help. They're a temporary fix to make you feel better. What we need to do is start helping people with real infrastructure in countries that don't have it. Waterways so that people can get water. Crops so people can get food. Education. We claim to be the #1 country in the world, but we're not #1 in education. Even though we have most of the top universities in the world, academically speaking, we're still not #1 in education. Now, I went off on kind of a tangent, I realize this, but it's for an important point. I'm pointing out that we can only go on so long pretending like there is not tension boiling between our adversary countries and ourselves. China does not want the same world outcome that America wants. And most of American allies want. We want a free world, or at least a relatively free world, where you have the illusion of freedom. And I'm aware, let's not get into how much freedom has been taken away here in the US. Like I said, even the illusion of freedom. Because say what you will, unless you've been to other third world countries and you've seen some of the way other dictators run their country, our country has it relatively good as far as our rights go. But they've been chipped away, and they'll continue to be chipped away. My point to all of this is World War III can only happen if America allows it to happen. We are the largest superpower on Earth as it stands right now, with China coming in very close. But for now, we are the superpower. And it seems like no matter what side is in the presidential office, we're allowing this escalation to war constantly. And I hate when people use this to get political. Well, Republicans are all about war. So are Democrats. So are independents. They all, no matter who they are, get into office and are paid off by the same people and instructed to do things by the same people. They're puppets. Our leadership cast is the Muppets show. They've all got a hand up their rear, making them speak the words they want to hear.
That's what's wrong with this country. Let the weak win. Every nerd makes the team. Every loser gets to play. Gee, maybe we should have let Hitler win. He had a hard childhood. Doesn't he deserve to rule the world? Jack, there's a conspiracy going on out there. Evil people are trying to destroy our great country. I'm not mentioning any names, but they're iced mocha, cappuccino drinking, pate eating, J. Crew wearing, Beamer driving, friends watching, sushi tasting, scented candle burning yuppies.
But we are, make no mistake, on a knife's edge as far as World War III goes. If a NATO country is attacked, mark my words, you will all want to start prepping your to-go bags, your prep bags, your whatever you want to call them, your evacuation bags. Now, as for me and my family, I'm a survivalist, and I wouldn't call myself a prepper, not in the traditional sense of stockpiling food and all that stuff. But I know me, I know my family, I know my brother. We're prepared for the end. And honestly, we want to usher in a new beginning because we don't believe it's the end that everyone thinks it is. It's a reset. The world has a way of doing this every so often. And the World War III alert that's coming from me today to you guys, is just a warning that we're inching closer and closer to, be it a biblical Armageddon, be it the Walking Dead Armageddon. Now, do I really think zombies are going to come to life? No, but with biological warfare, things that are eerily close are possible. But I think it's humans. World War III scares it scares the ever living tar out of me, you guys. It scares the yellow and brown right out of me. And I'll tell you why. Not because I'm worried about zombies or demons or angels or a biblical war. Because I'm scared of people. Those of you who ever watched the popular AMC show, The Walking Dead, zombies all over the earth. Anyone who dies of any reason other than a headshot to the brain turns into a zombie because of this virus or bacteria, whatever. Now, the show's called Walking Dead, but after watching what I've seen of it, it's not the dead you really had to worry about in that show. Just like in real life, it's not the monsters you're going to need to worry about. It's the human monsters you're going to need to worry about. Because whatever you want to call it, Armageddon, the second coming, the apocalypse, the end times, the reset, the plasma apocalypse, all of these will have one guaranteed outcome. There will be men of evil in power. There will be cannibalism. There will be fighting and killing and needless bloodshed by the hundreds of thousands, if not millions. World wars sound simple. We think of them in historical context. World War I, World War II. So far away that it's pretty much a distant memory. But a World War III, with the weapons we now have, could bring about the end of our civilization as a species. We could do things on this planet to each other that we can't come back from, or if we do, we may not be able to come back from for a very long time. Nuclear winter's not a joke. Neither is starvation and cannibalism. Most people don't even realize, man, it would take less than a month, you guys, if basic goods and social services broke down before your neighbors were eating each other. Think I'm wrong? Look at history. Look at large famines in Russia and America that produced people who ate people, cannibals. It's not just here, it's not just in Russia. It's in any place where the poverty line gets so bad that people cannot feed their families or themselves. Our survival instinct as a species is pretty darn strong. And with the darkness that floats on a lot of humans, that is a very dangerous mix. Now, as far as do I believe this is the religious apocalypse, the beginning of the end, the Antichrist, the second coming. I see signs that are hard to argue that they could be biblical prophecy. But mostly what I see is the sign of what we are coming through time after time, which is violent, greedy, and egotistical animals. So keep an eye on the news. Watch out what's going on. Pay attention to who's being bombed by who. Because we're one push of a button away. Just one. From World War III. And the end of life as we possibly know it. Keep safe, you guys. Watch each other's back. And as always, stay informed. This has been Straight Jacket White Rabbit signing off.